Hello, everyone. Ron Zarate here, and you're watching Timing is Everything. And welcome to Chapter 1, Episode 13, Intro to Into Me, Enemy. Yes, we're still in 1992 in this journey of mine. And I'm showcasing my top 3 songs for you that I wrote back in 1992. Together, we're now in this third and final song in 1992. As you can tell, I've taken a different approach in my writing style to this point. Lots of different factors at home affected this, and I was personally experiencing a ton of change in my life. My parents were going through a divorce. I had a lot of anger at me at the time because of the divorce. Different treatments of myself and my sisters, and because of what I was watching on TV as well. There was war, famine, and music. And I was listening to several styles of music that were just very angry because of society at the time. And I myself, for the first time in my life, started to feel like I may not fit in. Not fit in with the world, like I didn't belong at all. You know, most of us go through thoughts like this at some point in our life. And all I have to say about that is that you do belong. You do matter. I generally feel that we are all unique in our own way, and each and every one of us has something unique to give to our world and our society. Sometimes we figure this out at a very young age, and sometimes we figure this out at a very old age. And sometimes, honestly, we never figure this out ourselves while we are here on this earth living. But as we pass, others figure it out for us and make sure that it is known and shared on our behalf. It's pretty cool. So we all matter. So today, I would like to spend some time with you to discuss how I came to write my next song that I will share with you titled Into Me, Enemy. I remember grabbing my friend's guitar as I was bored one evening and strumming power chords. Nothing but power chords, actually. I only knew that this is what they were called because my friend's dad, who was an experienced guitar player, explained this to us one day and showed all of us how to properly play a power chord. Once learned, I remember playing these type of chords, thinking how powerful they sounded once cranked on an amp with a distortion pedal on them. I also remember mistakenly pressing down on the E and A string together as I played a chord and as fast as I could or whatever I was doing at the time, and thought that it sounded even more powerful. To this day, I don't even know what this type of chord is called, if it is even one. I always thought one day I will write a song with this type of power chord. So as I was strumming power chords in my room one evening, I played that new type of chord that was kind of new to me. And I can best describe this chord where I pressed down on the E and A string together as I played a power chord. Something raw, a little bit more with that muffled sound. And I remember thinking how cool this sounded, and I wanted to write a song with this. So I came up with 4 chords that sounded cool to me, and I alternated within the verse this new power chord that I was wanting to play. What this type of chord is called is beyond me, so please let me know in the comments of what the actual name of it is called, because I have no idea what this is called to this day. So the more I played, the faster and harder I was playing. So fast and hard, or again, that I was almost hyperventilating from playing so hard and fast and just sitting there on my bed playing. As I wrote the main riff to the song, I decided to play it somewhat backwards as the chorus. When I put the 3 parts together, I thought it sounded pretty cool. It was 1 part power chord, 1 part of that newer power chord where I held the E and the A strings together, and then this backwards type thing sounding power chord that I wound up using as the chorus. To me, these 3 parts came together pretty quickly. I felt the main part of the song was done as far as guitar was concerned, so I shelved it for another time. Me being who I am with music, I remember waking up the next day and listening to it again. While I can't remember this specifically, I'm pretty sure that I used my sister's karaoke machine again to record a small demo of what I wrote the previous night. So when I listened to it the following morning, I felt that it needed an opening. Something kind of unique is what I thought. So I remember using the same trick, or what I thought was a trick at the time, where I held the E and A strings together to deepen that power chord I was playing. I then decided to hold together the B and high E string. After some messing around on the fretboard and the strings, here is when I came up with the opening of the song. So I just messed around with this enough until I decided that it sounded pretty cool to me, and it kind of went with the song as a decent opening. So, remember, I was 14 at the time, so very juvenile in my writing process at the time. But to me, I was getting way better, improving drastically, in my own opinion, and was having a blast not only writing this music, but letting out all my feelings and emotions through music, which is very cool to me. So as I added that opening and heard it back, I wanted to add a lead in there somewhere. I could not find anywhere to enter a lead. So all I decided to do was go back to what I did on my last song, which was Turned Away that I showcased previously, and use that style of playing. That single note picking as fast as I can and bending the heck out of those notes. To me, I thought that was a cool thing to do. I'd seen some other people do it at the time. I was like, wow, this is really nice. I couldn't do any crazy pentatonic licks or anything like that, rolling up and down the fretboard real crazy. Didn't even know what that was, honestly, to be honest with you at the time. I was just learning as I went, and all along was channeling my feelings through my instruments as I wrote and played them. So once I came up with the notes I wanted to use as the small lead parts, I started to write a bass line. How this came about, I borrowed my friend's bass for a week. I remember he was practicing a lot at the time, so I felt bad asking him for it. So I offered a trade. If he lent me his bass, I would lend him the guitar. And he agreed, luckily. I borrowed it for a week. Little did my friend know, or my other friend know, I should say, who I was borrowing the guitar from, know that I was lending out his guitar. But I knew my friend would take really good care of it, so I had no worries. Plus, it would just stay in his room as he played. So I felt comfortable offering it up. So I got the bass and played every day, trying to come up with something. I never came up with anything else other than playing with the root note most of the times. You can hear there are just a few notes in there where I make a change, but other than that, it's mostly playing along with the root note. The more I listened back to the song, I felt that it was a simple written song. So it was probably best that I left the bass simply written as well. Plus, it sounded pretty in tune and in line together. And it sounded full to me, which is the most important thing to me. Well, this is my 14-year-old brain way of thinking, right? So I did just that. However, I did crank the bass up so high it distorted, and to me that sounded very cool. So I left it like that. I never got to record the bass to the actual 4-track recording because by that time I had already returned the bass back to my friend. So on the 4-track recording itself, you will hear no bass, unfortunately. You will, however, hear the drums, as those I wrote to be fast, loud, heavy-hitting, and just banging the snare away, especially at the end of the song. I wrote the drum patterns to be in tune with the guitars and give the vocals more of an aggressive push. I think once you hear the song, you will understand what I mean. So now, at this point, I finally have all the song's instruments written. So now I turn to the lyrics. I needed the lyrics to be loud and aggressive. Why? Well, that's how I felt personally at the time. I had all this anger built up inside of me, experiencing the day in and day out of my parents going through the divorce, seeing all these horrible things on the news. I couldn't even understand how people could just not get along. Don't we all live on the same planet? Come on, man. That's what I was thinking. So I started to write the lyrics. I actually found my original lyrics that I wrote back in 1992. I still have that notebook. Here, I'd like to share it with you. Check it out. I do remember naming the title after I wrote the lyrics. As you see here, I wrote about the enemy. This is both in reference to the wars I was watching on TV and also as a reference to my father, as that is how he made me feel at the time. All of these lyrics are written in that context, about war and about my father. You can see, I even drew the word war up on the top left. I felt like it was like that in both instances to me, to be honest with you. There are two lines within these lyrics that mean the most to me as I wrote them. The first one being, I hate your worthless into me, meaning I didn't want that feeling to ever come to my body, but I was starting to feel it as I was starting to feel like I didn't belong or not worth anything. I hated everything about feeling worthless as I saw my father's actions to myself and my family, that I did not want for 1 second want that feeling to ever come into me. On another line, I say enemy, which I look at that as the enemy as well. You will see how I alternated the words into me and enemy because I felt both, to be honest with you. The other line that meant most to me is call your home. Why? As I watched TV and saw war on TV, I always saw cases where soldiers would come out live on TV and pray that they just wanted to hear their wife or their kids' voices. That they wished they could just pick up the phone and call home at any given time. But being out on the field where they were at, they did not have that privilege. Can you imagine that? That privilege that we have and take for granted every day. So it punched me in the gut to know that my own father had that same opportunity and privilege here living in his day-to-day, but didn't take advantage of any of that. I at times wouldn't see him for weeks, wouldn't hear from him at all. Yes, I was fortunate to have a home phone, but yet no calls came in from him. I would often think, why doesn't he call our home? Call me, my little sisters, check up on us. Do you even care that I've eaten? Do you care about our schoolwork? Do you care that I even went to school today? Do you care that I landed my first 180 on my skateboard? You know, things like that. Do you care even that my sisters are wanting to know where the most important man in their lives is at? Why? I didn't get it. So yeah, that line hit me. So when I thought of that line and I added it as a lyric of the song, every time I sang it, it hit me. So I was writing these lyrics again based on what I was feeling at the time. As I completed them, and as you saw them on my lyric sheet, I didn't do much changing. I decided to leave it like this. No other words added to it. Even titled it with some of the same words I was using. I thought it was perfect to title it this way. So today, I'm happy to say that I will be able to have the opportunity to play you a sample of this 4-track recording I made of this song. So this song here, I'm having trouble with my 4-track recording right now. I might have to try to find and purchase another one because I think mine finally died. So what I did was transfer the audio that I had previously into the computer and played that out. So that's what you're going to see and hear in this video. So, but this is the actual 4-track recording of it. So there you go. This is Into Me, Enemy, actual 4-track recording of it that I wrote back in 1992. Check it out. recording that takes me back. What do you think? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, honestly. As I reminisce with this story today, it is crazy to think that here I am again today, some 30 plus years later, listening to it and getting that same feeling of when I wrote it back then. It's crazy. What you have seen so far is my basic songwriting I was just learning. I will get more creative as my story continues. Trust me. So again, I've decided to keep it as close to the original as possible. I've taken the song and re-recorded the song using everything I know today, but still trying to keep its original vibe. Thank you for listening to my story of the song. This is now the 7th song of my first series of 12 songs that formed my youth from the ages of 13 to 16. This specific song, I'm 14 now. I welcome you to let me know what you think in the comments, and I thank you for the time spent listening to the story. Please provide any feedback you may have, as I would really, really love to hear it. Please be sure to like and subscribe to stay updated on new videos and content as my musical journey through YouTube continues to get published. So to end this episode, please stay tuned for episode 14, where I will be showcasing the actual song written today with the gear that I own now, which is titled Into Me, Enemy. Thanks for watching.